Here we go, video 3 on this solving equations with fractions in them. So, like I said, you could get rid of all fractions at once by multiplying everything by the LCD, or you could get rid of one fraction at a time. So what I want to do is I want to multiply all the fractions by the LCD to get rid of all fractions at once. And of course, the LCD of x plus 1 and 2x will be 2x times x plus 1. So if I put 2x plus 1, and if I put 2x times x plus 1, and if I put 2x times x plus 1 on every single fraction, then this x plus 1 cancels with that x plus 1, and what's going to be left? You're going to have 2x right here times 3x, which is 6x. Okay? Then if we move on to the next one, on this fraction, this middle fraction right here, well, you have the 2x that cancels with the 2x. And what you have left, you got to think about it this way. This is 5, but it's actually a negative 5 because there's a negative sign in front of it. So this is going to get ugly here. The 5 has a negative right in front of it. So that's a negative 5 that you need to say negative 5 times x and negative 5 times 1, because that's what was left over after you canceled out the 2x. This guy canceled with this guy. You have an x plus 1 left over, and you have a 5 with a negative in front of it. Remember, the negative belongs to the 5. So you have negative 5 times x. You're going to get negative 5x. And you're going to have negative 5 times 1, which is negative 5. Of course, the equal sign comes down. On the left side, this 2x cancels with that 2x. So you have to distribute the 3 to both terms. So you're going to end up with 3x plus 3. And of course, I got that from going 3 times x, 3 times 1. So now we have an equation that's actually simple because there's no quadratic involved. It's just x's. So let's move the x's to one side. I'm going to start first by combining like terms. 6x take away 5x. That's just 1x. I'm going to do it in black. 1x minus 5 equals 3x plus 3. And let me move that 1x by subtracting 1x, canceling it out, subtracting 1x. And I'm going to do two steps in one. I'm also going to subtract 3 and subtract 3. So my final simplified equation will be a negative 8, because negative 5 take away 3 is negative 8, equals 2x, which of course means that if I divide by 2 on both of them, I end up with my final answer, which is x equals negative 4. Doesn't matter if it's written that way or this way, whatever. That's your answer. X equals negative 4. Of course, you need to take a couple of seconds to make sure that negative 4 doesn't mess up any of these denominators by making them 0. So negative 4 is our single answer on this problem. Let's move down to the last one. And once again, you have the option of multiplying everything by the LCD or getting rid of one fraction at a time. I want to multiply everything by the LCD. You know what? I could do it both ways. I want to multiply everything by the LCD, and the LCD is obviously 2 times x minus 1. So I'm actually going to put a 2 times x minus 1 next to each fraction on the numerator part, that is. Check it out. There it is. I know it's ugly, but it works. So we know that this 2 is going to cancel with this 2. It's gone. What do we have left? Well, you have 3 times x and you have 3 times negative 1, so you will have 3x minus 3. And on the middle fraction, this guy right here, you could cancel out the x minus 1 on top with the x minus 1 on the bottom. And what will we have left? Well, you have a 2 times 4, so that's going to be a positive 8. Bring down the equal sign. And the third part of the fraction over here, what cancels out the x minus 1 on top with the x minus 1 on the bottom. And what do we have left? Of course, you're going to have to distribute 2 times x and 2 times 1, because that is a binomial right here, x plus 1. So when you distribute 2 times x, you get 2x. When you distribute 2 times 1, you get 2. And here's our new equation. And this one's also going to be easy because there is no quadratic. You're not going to have to use a quadratic formula like on the other ones. So let's just move the x's. Well, let's combine any like terms first. This guy and this guy could be combined. Let me rewrite it. It's going to be 3x plus 5 equals 2x plus 2. And let's move the x's to one side. So I'm going to subtract 2x and subtract 2x. And I'm also going to do a second, I'm going to do 2 steps in one. I'm going to also move the 5 over to the right by subtracting 5. So let's rewrite our equation. You're going to end up with 1x on the left side. This canceled. Equal sign comes down. That canceled. 2 take away 5 is negative 3. And that's it. X equals negative 3. All you got to do is double check and make sure that the x equals negative 3 doesn't cause any of these fractions to become undefined, which it doesn't. So that is your answer, x equals negative 3. Let me go back and do this one problem over again, but by getting rid of one fraction at a time. So maybe you don't like all of this mess right here of multiplying everything by the LCD. I mean, after all, up here it does look really messy. You maybe want to get rid of one at a time. So here it is. I just rewrote that same problem on the side. Let me get rid of one fraction at a time. For example, if I wanted to get rid of the 3 halves, I just wanted a regular 3. I didn't want the 3 halves. Well, I could multiply everything by 2. And now this is a binomial, so I'd have to multiply 2 times the binomial. So right here, the 2's cancel. You end up with the 3. You have a plus. And what is 2 times 4? That's 8. But 8 is still over x minus 1 because we didn't get rid of that fraction. We only got rid of the 3 halves. It's now just a regular 3. And the final part over here, 2 times x and 2 times 1. And you end up with 2x plus 2. So that's still over x minus 1. So we got rid of one fraction. Now we need to get rid of the other fractions by multiplying everything by the denominator x minus 1. So I'm going to put an x minus 1 right next to every single term. Okay, now once again, if we look at the right side of the equation, the x minus 1 cancels with the x minus 1. And what we have left is, if you bring the equal sign down, we have a 2x plus 2. And also, the x minus 1 here cancels with the x minus 1 down here. And what do we have left? We have the plus, and we have an 8. And on the far left, we have a 3 times x and a 3 times negative 1. So that gives us a 3x minus 3. So we need to combine like terms. We have a minus 3 here and a positive 8 there. Let me zoom out a little to get more space. And what will I have left? I'll have a new equation that says 3x plus 5 equals 2x plus 2. Now at this point I want to do 2 steps in one. I want to get the x's to the left. So I'm going to subtract 2x, subtract 2x. And I'm also going to move the 5 over by subtracting 5 and subtracting 5. Again, I'm doing 2 steps in one. Let me move this a little bit further up so we can get a final simplified equation here, actually our answer. Because 3 take away 2 is 1x, right? 3 take away 2 is 1x. And the plus 5 and the minus 5 cancel. The positive 2x and the negative 2x cancel. The equal sign comes down, and the 2 take away 5 is going to give us a negative 3. So, ladies and gentlemen, you could either get rid of all fractions at once, like we did right here. We multiplied everything by the LCD. Or you could get rid of one fraction at a time, the way we did on the right side. As you can see, it looks like it's a little more work to get rid of one fraction at a time. It's quicker to get rid of all fractions at once by multiplying by the LCD. But of course, it looks a little bit more messy up here. There's more stuff on the original question. You end up with the same answer. So at the end of it all, it's just whatever you feel more comfortable with. I hope this helps. Be ready for these on the test Friday.